Well, protests continue tonight in the town of Ferguson, Missouri. In fact, you're looking at a live picture of the protest, peaceful at the moment. Residents and police have been locked in violent clashes over the death of 18-year-old Michael Brown. Police say officers shot Brown because he tried to grab a policeman's gun. Witnesses, they don't agree. They say the teen had his hands up and was appearing to surrender when he was shot multiple times. Two reporters were briefly detained by police last night while covering the Michael Brown shooting. The journalists say they were assaulted and arrested while asking questions at a McDonald's restaurant, then released on orders of the police chief. Joining me tonight via Skype to talk about more of the ongoing struggle for media coverage in Ferguson is Amy Simons. She's assistant professor at the Missouri School of Journalism and host and producer of Views of the News on KBIA. Amy, welcome back to Politics Tonight. My first question for you.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, is this 2014 or 1968?
It feels like it could be 1968 all over again, but the big difference here that we're seeing with the 2014 twist is the rise of citizen journalism going on here, and the tweets and the Facebook posts and Instagram posts, vines that are being put out there and going viral from people just like my mom, my dad, anybody who might be out there. Antonio French, who has had the Twitter feed to watch for the past 72 to 96 hours, is the 21st Ward City Councilman in the city of St. Louis. Not your traditional journalists, yet the ones who are getting the information out to us.
And you make a great point, because today, everybody's a journalist, right? We're getting comments from everybody, journalists and non-journalists alike, who are just in that role. I know you've got some students who are interning for the local ABC affiliate and others out there, and you've been talking to them recently up until through the last hour. What's the latest? What are you hearing?
Within the last hour. Actually, two of my students, Joe McLean is a paid employee of KMIZ-TV, the ABC affiliate here in Columbia, Missouri. He's out there with a reporter this evening in Ferguson. And Ryan Schisler, one of our undergrads, now turned grad students, who has for past 6 or 8 months been a freelancer for Al Jazeera America's website. And he is on the ground, a St. Louis native himself, on the ground covering the story for Al Jazeera.
So, you know, for people who look at this, I mean, some people would say, look, the cops tell you to move on, you better move on. But you're a journalist. So talk to me about when the cops come up to journalists in McDonald's, for example, and say, move on, and they say, hey, look, I'm covering this story. How does that play out in terms of the rights of the journalists?
Well, the fact that they were inside a McDonald's makes it an even trickier situation, in that the McDonald's is private property. The issue that came up last night with Wesley Lowry from the Washington Post was that there was also, he was trying to follow the instructions of the police officers, but as he recounted what happened in that restaurant, he was getting contradictory instructions as to which door from which to exit. And that was where when that communication broke down, was where their relation broke down, leading to the detainment.
And, you know, it would seem to me, I mean, when you hear people on the street, eyewitnesses to the Michael Brown killing, or others who say what's going on, you know, you're always getting kind of maybe a tainted view of what people see, right? People see things the way they want. But when journalists are put in the role of getting arrested or being pulled out, I mean, that gives me special concern, because you guys are there simply to cover the story. Does that trigger the same thing for you, that you've really crossed a line when you're the cops, when you're trying to control journalists?
Oh, not just you, not just me, but also today we have seen statements and complaints issued by the American Society of News Editors, the National Association of Black Journalists, National Press Photographers Association, the Radio, Television, Digital News Association, Society of Professional Journalists, and others. This is something that the entire journalistic community has come out and condemned.
Of course, the reporters released this morning, no charges filed. That gave me extra concern. I mean, I thought at least if you file charges like they hit somebody or whatever, maybe they're not the reporter we think they are. But when they're released with no charges filed, that says to me, you know what? This is just the cops taking steps to do some controlling of the media coverage.
And then it looks a little bit intimidation. There was an interesting piece, though, today on the Poynter Institute's website, in which some local photojournalists from television stations in St. Louis were coming to the defense of the police department and saying that they had gotten some not-for-broadcast heads up, some warnings, calls into the newsroom from police departments saying that there was going to be tear gas released, and to back up and kind of clear the area a little bit. So there seems to be different responses in how the media is being treated, depending on who it is you're talking to, the local or the national media. the national media having kind of parachuted in and not really being as familiar with the local culture, the local customs, and what could be going on there.
And very briefly, just half a minute left, but the bottom line is when media shows up, be it at a war in Afghanistan, Iraq, or an event like this, the point is there's a bit of sort of common courtesy given to the media, right? Job to do.
They do. They absolutely have a job to do. But at the same time, and I'm not necessarily defending the police, but this is something we talked about on my program, Views of the News, yesterday. The police are really in a lose-lose situation because they're also trying in backing up the media and creating a little bit more of a buffer zone to protect what they're seeing as innocent bystanders and protect them from danger or any kind of a physical harm. At the same time, there is also that perception that by pushing the media back, they're trying to cover something up. There's no good way for the
that's
police
why, it's a story of concern. Amy Simons, Missouri School of Journalism. Thanks for being with me. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. It's been my pleasure.
We'll be back with more politics tonight in a moment.